The estate sale smelled like old paper and forgotten lives. Nadia Reeves was 17 and bored, trailing 3 steps behind her mother through a dead woman's house, while her mother picked up ceramic owls and turned them over to check their undersides. That was the thing about her mother. She always checked the underside of things, as if the price sticker was more interesting than the object itself. Nadia wandered into a back room that the other buyers hadn't bothered with. It was smaller than the rest, half filled with draped furniture and cardboard boxes, lit by a single window thick with dust. She was about to turn back when she saw it. The mirror leaned against the far wall like it had been waiting. It was oval, framed in tarnished silver that had been carved into a pattern of intertwining branches or fingers, depending on how the light caught it. The glass itself was old, slightly warped, the kind that gave your reflection a faint ripple, as if you were looking at yourself through still water. Nadia stood before it. Her reflection stood before her. She tilted her head. The reflection tilted its head. Of course it did, she thought. That's what reflections do. She bought it for $11. Her mother said it was pretty. Nadia hung it on her bedroom wall, across from her bed, and didn't think about it again until 3 in the morning when she woke suddenly and completely. The way you only wake when something has made a sound. The room was silent. She looked at the mirror. Her reflection looked back. And then, slowly, it smiled. Nadia did not smile. She sat up in bed, heart hammering, and stared. The reflection sat up too. The smile was gone. Everything was normal. Just her face in old glass, pale in the moonlight, eyes wide, hair tangled. A dream, she told herself. You were half asleep. She lay back down and pulled the blanket to her chin. Across the room, in the silver-framed mirror, her reflection did the same. Except it pulled the blanket just a half-second too slow. 3 weeks passed. Nadia forgot about the mirror the way you forget about a strange sound in the walls, consciously, deliberately, because some things are easier unfaced. Then she lost Tuesday. She remembered Monday night, homework, dinner, a video call with her best friend Priya that went until 11. She remembered getting into bed. And then she remembered Wednesday morning, standing in the school bathroom, looking at herself in the fluorescent-lit mirror above the sink, with absolutely no memory of the 36 hours in between. Her phone told her she'd attended school on Tuesday. Her teachers confirmed it. Priya said they'd eaten lunch together and Nadia had been kind of quiet, but fine. Her mother said she'd come home, done her homework, eaten pasta, and gone to bed early. Nadia had no memory of any of it. She told herself it was stress. Senior year. College applications. Her parents quiet, grinding divorce that nobody in the house named out loud. She made an appointment with the school counselor and was told she might be dissociating. She was given a pamphlet. She lost Thursday next. Then a Saturday. Then 4 days in a row. She started leaving herself notes. Sticky notes on her mirror, her desk, her bathroom cabinet. What did you eat today? Did you sleep? Do you feel like yourself? She kept a journal, recording everything, terrified of the blank pages that appeared without explanation. She began to notice things in those blank pages. Her handwriting present, but different. Slightly too neat. Too controlled. As if someone was carefully copying the way she wrote, and almost had it right. Her friends noticed changes. Priya said she'd been colder lately. Her little brother, Eli, 13 and sharp-eyed and the only person in the family who actually looked at things, told her one evening that sometimes when she walked past his room, he could feel her before he saw her. Like a drop in temperature, he said. Like when you open a freezer. That's a horrible thing to say, Nadia told him. I know, Eli said. He didn't take it back. She stopped sleeping easily. She lay in bed each night staring at the mirror, and the mirror stared back, and she began to play a game with herself. Watch the reflection, track its movements, confirm that everything matched. It always did. Eventually her eyes would close. But once, just once, she caught it. She'd been half asleep, her hand resting open on the pillow beside her face. In the mirror, the reflection's hand was closed. A fist, just for a moment. Then it opened, matching hers, as if it had realized its mistake. Nadia did not sleep again that night. She sat at her desk until dawn and wrote in her journal. It's learning. It's still learning. It isn't finished yet by November. She had begun to understand what was happening, though understanding it didn't make it survivable. She found the references online, buried in folklore forums and digitized manuscripts. The kind of places algorithm-driven search engines deprioritized because nobody profitable was looking for them. Different cultures, different names. The Tagalog called it something that translated loosely to the one who wears. Medieval European texts called it an anima usurpatrix, a soul thief. A Siberian shaman's recorded testimony from 1887 described it simply as the tenet. The details varied. The core did not. It was not a demon. It was not a ghost. It was something far older than either, a hunger that had learned, over centuries, that the easiest way to feed was not to consume a body, but to inhabit one, to slide into the space between a person's soul and their flesh and begin, slowly, to displace them. It fed on identity, on selfhood. Every memory it consumed gave it more material to work with, more of you to wear. It would take her laugh, her habits, her fears, her loves. It would practice them in the hours she lost. It would get better and better at being Nadia Reeves until the real Nadia Reeves was nothing but a faint scream from somewhere deep and unreachable, and the thing wearing her face walked out into the world and lived her life, and nobody would ever know. She understood now why it had come through the mirror. The old glass, the silver frame with its carved branches or fingers. It had been waiting in there, trapped, maybe, or simply dormant, as patient as stone. When she'd hung it on her wall and stood before it night after night, she'd given it something to study. She'd given it a face to copy. She tried to take the mirror down. She couldn't touch it. Her hand stopped 6 inches from the frame, trembling, her mind going blank as a white wall. The tenant wouldn't allow it. She tried to tell her mother. She sat across from her at the kitchen table and watched her mother's face and felt the words dissolve before she could say them. Not because she was afraid of sounding crazy, but because something inside her simply could not form them. A pressure behind her eyes. A hand over her mouth that wasn't there. The tenant was already too deep. It was already managing her, controlling which thoughts she could speak aloud, which actions she could take. She was a person locked in a room that was slowly filling with water, and the door handle kept changing shape every time she reached for it. Eli found her crying in the bathroom at 2 in the morning, sitting on the cold tile floor with her journal in her lap. He sat down next to her without being asked. "How long?" he said. "Since the mirror," she whispered. He was quiet for a moment. "I knew it was the mirror. Eli, I looked it up after the freezer thing." He pulled his knees to his chest. "After I said that to you, and you looked at me like I'd slapped you. Because you were scared. The real you was scared." He paused. "The other times, when you walk past my room, it doesn't look scared." Nadia kept going. She remembered her first anxiety attack at age 12, in a shopping mall, and how she'd sat on the floor of a changing room and counted the tiles. She remembered the name of the boy she'd loved quietly and entirely for 2 years without ever speaking it. She remembered the Tuesday afternoons she spent at the library not because she needed to study, but because the silence there felt different from the silence at home, purposeful rather than painful. The reflection was struggling now. Its face cycled through expressions like a machine running too fast. Her smile, then something ancient and wrong, then her frown, then something vast and hollow, then her face again. The silver frame rattled against the wall. "It's working," Eli said, his voice tight. "Don't stop." She remembered the specific weight of her grandmother's hand when she was small. The recurring dream she'd had for years about a red house at the end of a long road that she was always almost reaching. The way she talked to herself while cooking, narrating each step in a ridiculous television presenter voice. A habit she'd never told anyone. The deep, specific, embarrassing love she had for a particular series of children's novels she still reread every winter. "I am Nadia Reeves," she thought, felt. "And I am not impressive or extraordinary, and I am afraid most of the time, and I love my brother, and I cannot whistle, and I am full of specific and unremarkable things that no one can copy, because they are only mine. They happened only to me. They are the proof of me, and you cannot have them." The mirror shattered. Not violently. Not explosively. It simply came apart, the glass fracturing from the center outward in a pattern like a frozen scream, each piece going dark as it fell, as if the light inside them was being extinguished. The silver frame warped and blackened. The pieces hit the floor without sound. The room was very still. Nadia sat in the silence and took inventory of herself, counted her memories, tested her thoughts, flexed her sense of her own name. Everything was there. Everything was hers. She turned and pressed her forehead against her brother's shoulder and shook for a very long time. "Is it gone?" he said. She thought about the reflection, the half-second delay, the fist closing while her hand lay open. "I think so," she said. Eli put his arm around her. "Okay, Eli. Yeah. Thank you for knowing it wasn't me." He didn't say anything to that. He didn't need to. She threw away every piece of the mirror. She didn't look to see if the shards reflected anything. She put them in a bag and put the bag in the outside bin and went back inside and washed her hands for a long time. She slept that night, deeply, dreamlessly, the sleep of someone returned to their own body. In the morning, she stood at the bathroom mirror, the plain, frameless, hardware store mirror above the sink, and looked at herself. She tilted her head. Her reflection tilted its head. She raised her right hand. Her reflection raised its right hand. She smiled. Her reflection smiled, immediate and exact, at precisely the same moment. She breathed out. She stood there for another minute, just to be sure, just watching. Her reflection watched back, imperfect and tired and specific and entirely, undeniably hers. Then she went downstairs and made breakfast and called to Eli that it was ready, and he came down with his hair still wild from sleep and stole a piece of her toast without asking. And she said hey, and he said sorry in a voice that meant he wasn't. And outside the November light came through the window at a low, golden angle, and the world was ordinary and small and real. She checked the mirror again before she left for school. It was still her. It would always be her. But she would keep checking. Every morning, without fail, for the rest of her life. Just to make sure the reflection blinked when she did. If you want to see such thrilling stories, kindly subscribe the channel and hit the like button and comment your thoughts.